Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Holliston Zoning Board of Appeals, January 13th, 2021 meeting. Appreciate your being here. Prior to starting the meeting, I would like to read the following into the record. Pursuant to the Governor's order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, MGL Chapter 30A, Paragraph 20, as well as the Select Board's emergency order dated March 16th, 2020, the Zoning Board of Appeals will be using remote participation for this meeting. The audio of this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the town's webpage within 24 hours in accordance with the Governor's emergency action requirement of keeping the public informed of actions during this meeting. I would ask that all participants remotely attending this meeting please state your name for the identification purposes each time you speak throughout the meeting. At this time, a roll call attendance vote will be taken. John Love, present. Jay Peabody?
Present.
Mark Bush?
Present.
Elizabeth Dembitzer?
Present.
All present, accounted for. Thank you very much. So that's there. Also, it looks like we do have at least one person on the phone. I want to remind you, you're muted if when there comes time to participate, you'll be unmuted by the moderator, but just check that you haven't muted yourself. Sometimes that happens. If you're on the phone, in order to raise your hand, you hit *9, and in order to unmute yourself, *6. And for anybody that's on the computer, to raise your hand, you can use the, I think you go into the chat and there's the raise hand. Is that correct? No, I'm sorry. Participants and raise hand. Am I right? I forgot. Yes, there's a raise hand button, so you can do that. So thank you. Our first order of business tonight is approval of the minutes of the December 9th, 2020 meeting. So I put that to the board. Are there any edits or questions or concerns?
For me.
None for me.
Okay.
No.
Karen, I can't find it now. There's one, I think under the deliberations, there's one apostrophe missing. Hang on, let me see if I can find it again. Oh, yeah, under the first finding of fact at Concord Street one, relating to the dwellings placement, just needs apostrophe. Otherwise, everything looks good.
Okay. You want me to make a motion on that?
Please.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve the draft of the minutes from the December 9th, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting as drafted with the one mention of the change that John just described.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all votes will be by roll call. John, aye. Jay?
Aye.
Mark? I'm sorry, did we get you?
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Liz?
Aye.
Motion carries. The minutes are approved. I also want to announce to the folks in the audience, we've got a fairly extensive agenda tonight, and we also have a curfew of 9:30. So it's very possible that we're going to not complete everything on our agenda and need to follow that on. I just want to give people a heads up now so that don't feel like we're pulling the plug on you at that time, but we will be terminating the meeting then so that people that are working in the town hall can conform to the town's curfew on working there. So Okay, are we good to go for our, I think so. Our first hearing is the continuation of the public hearing at 45 Washington Street. That was continued from previous meeting. And we have.
Chairman Dan Merrickin would
Oh,
like
there,
to.
thank you, Dan. I didn't see you. Okay, great. I think we left the last meeting, maybe you can bring us up to speed. I think we were waiting, you're going to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, if we've submitted a revised plan to you, and if I could be allowed to share my screen, I can pop it up here for everyone.
Please.
I need to be authorized.
Yep, I think Chris will take care of that for you.
You're all set.
Thank
Okay.
you. So this is 45 Washington Street. I think as the board will remember, this is the existing home of Countryside Auto. We're proposing a redevelopment to basically tear down the existing building and build a new home for Countryside Auto with new parking and paving and new stormwater features. At the last meeting, the only thing kind of outstanding was we were waiting to make sure that the other boards were kind of squared away.
Mhm.
And I think we are there. Your peer review consultant has reviewed the plan. They generated some comments initially. We responded with this revision. And then they generated a final comment letter, basically indicating that everything was all set. So the only changes that we really made were on the west side of the property here. This proposed stormwater basin moved a little bit to the right. And as a consequence, this kind of area over here changed a little bit. Beyond that, the changes are small and insignificant. The reason we're here with you tonight is because the rear portion of the property here and here is in a Zone A floodplain, which is a floodplain with no elevation. We talked about that at the last meeting. We don't believe, given the ground elevations in relation to the wetland elevations, that these areas are actually subject to flooding, but we did put some grading notes on the plan indicating that there is a net lowering of the ground, if you will. There's a net cut in those areas. So even if it were subject to flooding, there would be no adverse impact to the floodplain involved. That's about it. So if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay, anybody on the board have further questions?
None from me.
I don't either.
I don't. I remember this from last time.
Yeah, no, I think we were, from our side, from the zoning impacts, we were just concerned about the area in the floodplain, and that tended to be in the Conservation Commission's domain on specific conditions. And they've issued, if I'm not mistaken, they've issued their order of conditions?
They haven't. We met with them last week. They had no issues with this plan revision. They just hadn't received comments from David Feist yet, so they were waiting for that. But they're basically, as far as I know, they're squared away, and their
Right,
consultant.
I've seen they've gotten the comments
away.
back, and they were all pretty innocuous.
Yep.
Okay, so I think,
So we are comfortable with moving forward, and we'd like to move forward if that's possible.
from our side, we've got what we need. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions of the applicant? Okay, I'm not seeing any, but hang on. Any hands raised? No. Okay, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard in support of this application? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard in opposition to this application? All right, seeing none and seeing no further questions, I would entertain a motion to close this hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close the public portion of the hearing by the applicant, Gill Realty Trust, for the property located at 45 Washington Street, Holliston, Massachusetts.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor of closing the hearing? John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
Okay, thanks very much. We will deliberate and reach our decision. As I mentioned earlier, I don't know whether that will be able to happen tonight or not, but if not, I think we're prepared to have another meeting within the next week or two. So it should be in pretty short order that we do, and then we'll issue
Great.
the town clerk.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for all of your materials and your response to our request.
Have a good night.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, too.
Okay. Oh. Guys should have had one or two questions. We have to wait a minute for our next hearing, but we can tee it up. This is at 87 Jeffrey Avenue, Safe for This Animal Rescue. Lindsay Boulay, is that you? I see, Lindsay. Thank you. It being 7:15, I'll open up that hearing for a special permit at 87 Jeffrey Avenue. And Lindsay, if I could ask you to let us know what you are requesting and tell us a little bit about what you're planning to do there. We'd appreciate it and see what we can do. And you may have to unmute yourself. There, it looks good now.
Thank you so much. I am the president of Safe With Us Animal Rescue. We are a nonprofit animal rescue that is currently based out of Grafton, Massachusetts. We are registered with the state in the Department of Agriculture and as a business in the state. Currently, we are foster-based, which is our business model. All of our animals go into foster homes. We primarily intake a majority of our animals from out of state.
Somebody's, yeah, thank you.
We primarily take our animals from out of state, mostly Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee. Per the Department of Agriculture's requirements, every animal coming into Massachusetts must be housed at a 48-hour isolation period, where a licensed veterinarian comes and does an exam before they are released into homes, whether it be a foster home or an adoptive family. We are asking for the building at 87 Jeffrey Ave to be approved to be used as a licensed isolation facility that our rescue would run, but we would be licensed with the state Department of Agriculture, which would allow us to bring animals to that location to house them for 48 hours and then release them to their foster homes or adopters.
Okay, thanks. And you, I saw in your application, there's a layout of the building. Is there, do the animals stay inside or do they go outside for?
They do stay inside because they have to be isolated. They can't be exposed to other illnesses. There's all different types of viruses that can last on the ground for up to a year, actually. So per isolation requirements, they're not allowed to be exposed to the potential of outside viruses.
Okay, great. Relative to the business, the animals are there 24 hours a day, but is the business itself open? Are there business hours that you would?
No, we'll be operating. So the current standard in rescue is most transport companies run on weekends. So they would arrive on Saturday mornings, stay for 48 hours, and then leave Monday afternoon into the evening, depending upon when adopters could arrive. The rest of the week, there won't be animals housed there.
Okay. Yeah. Are there other questions from the board? I was just curious how this worked.
Yeah, for me, I did a drive by. It looks more like an office building. Are there office tenants in the other side, or?
No, so the 125 Jeffrey Ave is primarily offices. The buildings are connected by a ramp and a loading dock, but each business, each building has secured locked doors that separate from the other one. Right now in 87 Jeffrey, I think it used to be used for some type of assembly situation. It's not set up, even though the rooms are set up as offices, it does not appear to be actually run as offices previously. There's a lot of desks and things like along the walls that I think they used to assemble things.
All right, and Lindsay, is your spaces, at least in the drawing on the upper level, it looked like the common hall down the middle. Does that cross over into another part of the building, or are you isolated on both floors?
So that top floor is where the door connects to the loading dock. So if you go down that hallway, when you enter the building and you go up the first set of stairs to go to the first floor and you go down to the left, it can connect you to the loading dock. But like I said, there's a set of double doors that lock there to separate it off, which we wouldn't use the loading dock. We have no reason to.
All right, thank you.
I had a couple of questions. One is, how do you know that they're only going to be there for 48 hours? Like when they're transported up, you already know they have someplace to go within 48 hours, like an adoption or someplace else?
Yes.
So you don't even bring them up until you know that they're only going to be there for 48 hours?
Yes, and so currently we do operate this way, but we pay another isolation facility to do the isolation process for us, which financially is a lot for a nonprofit organization that operates at our volume currently. So our practice wouldn't change because our expectation with the current plan that we have is that all animals have to leave on Monday. So we wouldn't change that process. They would go to a foster home or an adopter.
And then in your application, you wrote, our rescue primarily operates by taking dogs from southern states and bringing them to Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. I'm just wondering, the qualifier primarily operates that way. What is that?
Sure. So luckily, those of us that live in New England, we don't surrender our animals too often. So we don't have a large request to take in local dogs. When we do, we don't have to follow the isolation. They can go right into a foster or an adopter. They don't have to be isolated. We still have to have them seen by a veterinarian, but they don't have to be quarantined first. So the primarily is, on occasion we get local animal surrenders, but it's not nearly as often as the requests from help from out of state.
And just to be clear, these are all rescues. There's no, these are animals that have been abandoned and these aren't animals that are coming from any kind of breeder or breeding facility.
No, okay. Our animals all come from either high kill shelters or owner surrenders, or found as strays, and no one comes forward to claim them.
Lindsay, what are the quantities are there limits on what you would have in there? Or, I'm not sure that we need to, but typically we would set some limits like that on the number of animals at any given time in the facility. Could you recommend?
Sure. So our goal, because the business, we're lucky enough to be offered to occupy the entire building. Our goal is to house, to isolate our own animals on one floor, the ones that our rescue is responsible for, and then assist other rescues on the other floor to help them with their missions. Mm-hmm. Right now, the maximum that we bring in a week is around 15. Sometimes there's a couple more, sometimes there's a couple less. We don't really want to stray far from what we're currently doing because we know that that's what we can handle on a weekly basis. So for our rescue, so I think our goal is to, if we don't want any more than probably 30 at a time between the two rescues. So it would be 15 on each floor.
So if we were to limit it, would 30 be pro, or would you like it be? I mean, you tell us because I'm not sure we know a whole lot.
Sure. So I think
be a little more
for us, this is new for us to run our own facility. So we would certainly be on the lower end while we got our feet under us and really made sure that we had our processes handled and we were comfortable. There is a very high demand for rescues needing isolation facilities right now because adoptions are in demand and there's a lot of animals who are homeless. So, and the state does not have many isolation facilities at all. So I think 30 is fair, but in the future, once we get once we grow, we might want to expand that number.
All right. Well, would 40 be a better?
Yeah, I think 40 would.
We're going to put a limit. You should.
I think 40 would be fine.
Okay. So that we've got hours, we've got that. I don't know. So I have a question. The building inspector noted on the application, you may not have the answer to this, but that there is a question on the deed for the two lots that have never been combined. And I'm not quite sure what that does to our zoning requirements. Like, I guess they're all in the same zone. But do we need to address that, Karen, do you think? Or is that something that, it didn't seem like the zoning would still apply. But you may want to point that out to your landlord, that the building inspector has noted that there looks like there needs some cleanup on the deed, but it shouldn't impact what we have to do, I don't think. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Does anybody in the audience have any questions of the applicant? All right. Does anybody in the audience wish to be heard either in support or in opposition to this application? Okay, hearing none, I think we've got the information we need. If no one on the board has further questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we close the public portion of the application for special permit by Lindsay Boulay, also known as Safe With Us Animal Rescue, a nonprofit, for the property located at 87 Jeffrey Ave, Holliston.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to vote. Be by roll call. John, aye. Jay?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. The hearing is closed. Lindsay, we will debate on deliberate. I don't know how much debate it will be. We'll deliberate and put together a decision possibly tonight, as I said earlier. I'm not sure that will happen, but it will be shortly. And as soon as we can, we will then file it with the town clerk, who will notify you that the decision's been made. There's a mandatory 20-day appeal period thereafter, presuming nobody appeals the decision, either you or someone else, then you'll be notified again, and you'll be there. You just file that, and you're on your way to go. So best of luck with your endeavor, and I wish you success.
Thank you so much. And if anyone's looking for an animal, please reach out. We're happy to help.
Okay. Where are you located at your actual adoption and offices for that?
We currently don't have an office. We operate out of my spare bedroom. So this building would allow us to also have offices to house records and such.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have a public hearing, it being later than 7:25. We have an application for a special permit for authentic auto body and collision at 7 Jeffrey Avenue. And let's pull that up. I'm in here today. And Peter, you're representing?
Is authentic.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Pete Paparian on behalf of Authentic Auto Body and Collision. My clients are here as well. If you recall, in December of 2016, the board granted a special permit for Authentic to go into their current location at 229 Lowland Street. At that point in time, they were a very small shop. In the last 4 years, they've grown and outgrown their space. So they have been looking for new space. They certainly want to stay in Holliston. And they found a place at 7 Jeffrey, which is the current building located at the corner of Jeffrey and Lowland Street, and are under agreement to acquire that facility. So we're seeking a special permit so they can move their operations down the street to 7 Jeffrey. The operations would include a Class 2 license, and we're looking for 4 vehicles on that. The map you've got, there's 17 parking spaces along the front of the building along Jeffrey. So that would be the employee, customer, and then the 4 sales spaces. And then there's another 33 spaces behind the building that they would use for the vehicles, in and out of the repair. So they've outgrown their present facility. They want to conduct their auto business in Holliston, and they're looking to move down the street. So the board previously in the 2016 decision had authorized hours from I think it's 7 to 7 Monday through Saturday. All work conducted inside with closed doors. We agree that all those conditions, property maintained and neat and unobtrusive appearance, we agree with that, and we agree to the limitation as to sales in the area that we show on the approved plan. So it's an opportunity for a local businessman to stay in their operations and stay in Holliston.
Okay, thanks. Are there questions from the board on this application?
Yep. Peter, so again, from a drive-by, are they planning on, are they going to stripe and repair the back lot before they move in?
Excuse me?
The rear parking, are they going to stripe it and do repairs?
Yeah, all inside the existing building. There's loading doors in the back. So
No, I'm sorry, exterior, just the exterior parking, because on this plan, it shows all the parking in the rear, and at least on my drive-by, I didn't see any, there's no striping back there. Are they going to improve the exterior parking lot?
Yeah, the parking that's there, they'll be using and striping it just to make sure everybody's in a proper space. But striping it as you see on that plan.
Okay.
And will the operation be any different than what is currently happening other than the scale?
My impression is exactly what they're doing now, just at a bigger scale because they've got more employees.
Okay, great. Any additional questions?
We checked with the Board of Health, the septic system, as part of the sales of the property. They've done a Title V, it's all passable. Capacity of system, I think, allows up to 12 or 14 employees. So that would be ultimately the limit they could ever go to, because they have to stay within the septic requirements.
Get 14 employees. I would suspect that from a zoning perspective, that's not a limit that we'd need to make. I think from the health limits, you'd have to just be subject to those. Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that has questions of this applicant? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard either in support or in opposition to this application? All right, seeing none, if there's no further question from the board, we'd entertain a motion to close this hearing.
Okay, I will make a motion that we close the public portion of the hearing on the application for special permit by Authentic Auto Body and Collision for the property located at 7 Jeffrey Ave, Holliston, Mass.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
Okay, it's been closed. We will deliberate and reach a decision as quickly as possible, Peter, and thank you for putting that together for us. Next
Thank you.
is a, good, I think we're, where? This is perfect, Karen, you nailed this with times. Next on the agenda is a public hearing for a special permit Revival Training LLC at 1576 Washington Street. And if I can get down to the right one, let's see who we have presenting that.
I'm presenting that. My name's Dana Blako. I'm using my apologies. I'm using my son's computer and he's Andre and I couldn't change the name. So I think you use this for school.
If we call you Andre by mistake.
That's fine. That's fine.
Thank you, Dana. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's tell us what you have planned there. It sounds interesting.
So this petition is for to establish the business Revival Training at the Village Plaza, 1576 Washington Street. It's a LLC company. I'm the owner, also the president of the company, and we're asking for permission to establish the business as both personal training and small group classes, not to exceed more than 14 people in the building at a time in accordance with the occupancy laws. In general, that's the plan. That's the idea. So I don't know if I can answer any more questions other than what was presented in the paperwork.
Sure. How many employees would you have?
As of right now, I am the sole employee. Likely, over the next 6 months, we'd be looking to hire 1 or 2 other employees.
Okay. And you've got the, because for operating hours, it's 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. That 7 days or?
It would be Monday through Saturday. Those wouldn't be, there probably would be some break in the middle of the day. Generally, facilities, personal training facilities would be open early in the morning. There'd be probably until about 10 a.m. and then there'd be a large break during the middle of the day where between 10 and 4 where we wouldn't really have anybody in there. And then it would be from 4 to 6. I don't foresee being there till 8 p.m., but it's a possibility going forward. As of right now, my plan is till 6:30.
But no, we just want to know the incident. Is there any kind of retail sales other than the service that you would anticipate?
No, it'd be just services.
Okay. Yeah, it's the only thing I can think of. How about any other questions from the board about the business? It's pretty well spelled out.
Yeah, none for me. I think it'll fit well there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
Have you thought about the music? You know, small group classes are going to have some music playing. Are you thinking about insulating at all the area or?
I have thought about that. I've talked to the tenant that's directly to the side of me. If you're looking at the building to the left and also directly above, they also have group classes. I mean, there's a yoga. I mean, I know it's yoga, but she also uses music. And then I have a karate studio above me. So I don't suspect that the noise level is going to be too out of the ordinary with what else is in the building and nearby. So
you're on the bottom floor?
We're on the bottom, all the way on the right.
Okay.
Oh, like where the ice cream place used to
It's
be.
the ice cream.
The ice cream.
It's
Yeah.
the old ice cream.
That's a healthier alternative, I guess.
Or
Yeah.
well, they do a 180 there, yes.
Yeah. Right.
You can now get your dog trained, take yoga classes, get
Get a pizza and a beer and a bicycle.
all at one stop. Yeah. Okay. Any more questions? Does anybody in the audience have questions of the applicant? All right, seeing none, anybody in the audience wish to be heard either in support or in opposition to this application? Not seeing anything. Great. Well, seems thank you for putting that
Thank you.
together so well.
Thank you very much.
Accept the motion to close the hearing.
I'll make a motion that we close the public portion of the application for special permit by Revival Training LLC for the property, for a portion of the property located at 1576 Washington Street, Holliston, Mass.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? None, then we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of closing the hearing signify by saying aye. John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Liz.
I
Thank you. So it's closed. Like the others, we'll deliberate as quickly as we're able and put together a decision. You'll be notified once it's filed with the town clerk. And then there's a 20-day appeal period after which you can act on your decision. So best of luck with it.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Okay, we appreciate you bringing it. All right. I gotta find it. Let's see. Next, we have a dimensional variance and a special permit at 213 Central Street. William Rodenheiser, and Peter, you're representing that as well.
Peter, you're muted.
I don't think he's muted, but I
He's not
can't.
muted, we just can't hear him.
Your microphone's not working. No, we're still not hearing you.
I'm gonna text him. Hold on a second. Do I look like Jen? We're over here trying to figure out how to change it.
That's okay.
Sorry, the microphone got
There
unplugged.
you go, Pete.
There we are.
So Peter Barbieri, on behalf of William Rodenheiser, who's here as well. If the board recalls, in 2015, we went through a number of hearings for the plans to enlarge the dwelling that's there. And it asked for various relief sort of thing, including relief from front setback to Central Street. Ultimately, the plan was approved, granted a variance for a bulkhead along Franklin Street. This is a property that has frontages on two streets, so there's two front setback requirements. So the board approved the variance for a bulkhead within 8.3 feet of Franklin Street. The additions along the front ultimately met the 30-foot setback from Central Street and the pool was revised and made smaller. So everything was out of the front setback of Central Street, but the board also granted variances for the pool setback to the other side, away from Franklin Street. Always more difficult to complete a renovation than construction, and as a result, encountering foundation and other issues, plans changed, doing the work changed, and as you know, there was some changeover within the building department. So there was a lot of things happening as an ongoing process for the project, which continues to this day. Although I will say that the building official has been very cooperative, and I believe now they have a temporary occupancy for the front building. So everything has been progressing properly. In the completion of the final plan for that temporary occupancy permit, final determinations were made as to the relief that needs to be modified from the original approval. Also determined that some of the original approvals, at least from the viewpoint of the setback as we had changed them, allows for a special permit, as was noticed, rather than a variance. So let me just go through the changes that we've got in the nature of what was previously approved, as well as what we're looking for new. So at Franklin Street, as I said, the board granted the variance for a bulkhead within 8.3 feet of the site. Franklin Street. The bulkhead has been enclosed to provide access to the basement, but is now actually 11 feet from Franklin Street. So although we enclosed it, we moved the structure from Franklin Street back about two feet. So that's a new variance that building official has determined we need to maintain the bulkhead, maintain the cover over the bulkhead. So that's one item of variance. Staying along that same line, as I said, and I don't know when this change was, it may have been missed at the last time, but the bylaw allows by special permit an extension or addition keeping in same line as the building. So the original plans cut short the addition of the front along Central Street because I think thought we needed the variance from Franklin Street when all we needed was a special permit. So the addition now extends to the existing building line along Franklin Street, which is about 21 feet back from Franklin Street. And the building official has properly identified that to keep that and keep the existing building line along Franklin Street, we need a special permit for that covering over what was and is the front door. The second variance aspect with the addition of just a mix-up on the plans, looking from Central Street on the right-hand side of the new addition, the covering over the deck is only 19.7 rather than 20 feet from that side setback. That was just an engineering miss by, 0.3 of a foot. But we do need that relief as a variance from the side setback. The last item is providing access to the addition along the side away from Franklin Street. There's a small landing there just to get up into it. The landing meets the 20-foot setback, but the steps, as they go down to grade, go down to 18.1 feet. So we need a variance for the steps to be within that side setback. That's kind of the description of the relief we're looking for. You can explain that a little more if there's any questions on it.
Yeah, I recall this thing. So I'm just trying to remember the plan. I understand the enclosure over the bulkhead. What else is physically changed from the previous?
It was just a rectangular piece and noted as BH for, ABH.
Yeah, that part I get. How the other locations by the front door, is that the same
The front door, if
Behind?
you recall the old plan, as you looked at the property previously, you had the front door. And because I think thought we needed the variance to extend the front of the building, even though it's 30 feet back from Central Street, it's not 30 feet back from Franklin Street. It's only that 21.
Right.
So we talked at one stage of the game about a cover over the front door, but we ended up just cutting it back and having the addition start 30 feet from Franklin Street, which once you get into it, didn't make a lot of sense. You still didn't have a cover over your front door. It just made sense to cover the front door by extending the extension along the front all the way to the existing building line along Franklin Street. And that's the special permit, which we didn't understand at the time we sought the original relief.
Is there a way to pull up the photos that I took? Because it's just so much easier to see the actual work on the building. Karen, do you have those? I don't know how to.
What are you looking for?
I live in the area, so I took pictures of the sides of the buildings. I think it's just a
I
lot
want to share
easier.
the screen. I've got a picture of it from Central Street, if I can share the screen.
Actually, I've got 4 pictures from Franklin, from thing. Is there a way to Karen, is there a way to get that up there?
I have them on a different computer, so I can't help.
If you want to share with me, I've also got a blow up of the original plan and the approved plan for comparison purposes. It makes it a little bit easier to read.
That would be ideal, I think, because I was racking my brain trying to remember exactly what it was, and I don't.
Pete, if you have it, you can share your screen.
I can email these pictures to you too.
Yeah, but I think let's try with the plan first. If Peter can do it by sharing his screen, we can take a look at that and then look at the pictures to go from plan to elevation. Here we go.
So I can't see what's up, but
We're just seeing it. We're seeing part of the top of your browser. Ah, there it goes. Yep.
can you see the front photo?
Not a photo. We can see the plans. You may want to lower the sizing or something. We're getting mostly the banner of your browser.
I'm going to stop and start again. All right, can you see the photo?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the front. So the original approval was for this piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've done is we've added this whole cover piece, which extends to cover the front doorway. So this front is I think it's 34 feet back from Central Street. So no relief is needed for that. But when we extend this piece to this building edge,
Yeah.
that's the special permit that's required.
Okay. And I presume this was built thinking
And on
that
the other side,
requiring.
this corner right here,
Yep.
that's the 19.7 feet from the property line. So alternatively, we'd have to cut an angle through this. This is a lolly column holding that up, but that's 0.3 of a foot too closer to the property line on the side.
Excuse me, Pete.
Yeah.
So I thought the original approval still had the cover over the front door. I thought it was the extension of the roof line. How, I don't
I don't know,
understand.
I mean, I'll show you.
Why would we have had a plan that had no cover over the door?
Yeah, I recall I'm
pretty sure we had a cover over the front
Then
door.
we just didn't carry the roof line to
We
the.
didn't, yeah,
That's the.
we didn't carry the overhang. That's the problem.
right. That sounds right.
So that's the special permit.
Okay.
Again,
It's
just.
that part right there.
That piece, right,
Uh-huh.
that cover right there.
Right.
All right, now this plan a little bit difficult, but this is the railing for the entry into this thing. And these are the steps that are again 18.1 feet from this property line rather than 20 feet. So it's just for the steps, it's not for this, that's 21, but when you add the steps to get into the building, because of the elevated nature of the building, we need a variance for the steps.
I'm sorry, can you say where those steps are going to be again?
This is an entry into the new addition.
Yeah.
This overhang over that landing is 21.5 feet from the property line. Well, there's 2 steps that extend out that are covered by snow that are only 18.1 feet. So we need a variance for those 2 steps to get into the building.
Oh, okay. I see 3 steps in the back there, but
Yeah, I mean, the third one probably meets the.
Third one's legal.
There's 3 steps.
oh, okay, I see. We're gonna-
You can have the top one. It's the
Right.
other 2 that.
So I don't know if I can try to pull up my other photo.
No, I have the other, oh,
Do
do you
you?
want to see the plans instead, or do you want to see the photos, John?
Yeah, if you have the comparison plans, I just
Yeah.
refresh us because I think Jay, Mark, and I were all involved with that one, as I recall.
Yeah. Is the pool still happening?
Yeah, the newest plan that you've got shows the location of the pool.
Yeah.
A lot smaller because of the changes made on the site, but the original approval was for the pool and the decking to extend. In the condition says, I'm reading from condition 2 of the board's approval. The proposed pool walkway and pertinent equipment shall be allowed to be located as shown on the plan to within 0 feet of the side lot line. It just had to be 30 feet back from Central Street. So we've met that requirement with the new plan. We show you the plan to the pool to show you that. The pool is actually set back 33 feet from Central Street.
Okay. Are you able to show those comparison plans, Peter? I don't know whether that.
I got to open up my other photo, but hang on a second.
Yeah, John, I don't know if you can open up the email from Karen this afternoon, but it's the new plan is in there.
Oh, yeah. I know. I was thinking of the old plan, just trying to.
Yeah, if you scroll down on our old decision, it's underneath that.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll do that. Oops.
I'm going to go back to. Oop. I lost you. Can you hear me? Yep. There you
Yeah.
go. Okay. So let me
Can I put up those photos, John, or no?
Yeah, it's fine.
But if
Okay,
you haven't,
okay.
if you haven't want to pull it up,
You're ready, go.
Thanks.
okay.
So I just wanted to ask, I'm not gonna be able to move it. So there's nothing from this photo, there's nothing that you're talking about, right?
Well,
That shed is just,
yeah, but beyond the last car would be where the bulkhead enclosure would.
Yeah.
This
can
is
you
all
go to the
just
next,
parking
can you go to
lot.
the next photo? I can't operate this, right? Yeah. Nope, one more over.
There it
Yes,
is.
there it is. So that's the bulkhead. So it used to be just this bulkhead on the ground, but now it's enclosed.
We enclosed it and put it
Right.
this way in it, right?
Okay, and that's the area that needs, and
That's
that's, you're saying is 11 feet or something back there?
right. In the original bulkhead, we just had a design where we thought it was going to come out to 8.3 feet within Franklin Street, but it's at 11.
And this porch here, this overhang here is already in the, that's already been approved in the other plan.
That was already there as part of the original construction.
Okay. Can you go to the next photo? This is, so this is the side here that you're talking about. This little overhang here to Franklin Street is where you need the special permit. Is that it? Right from there.
Shows that overhang extension establishing the same roof overhang as the roof above it.
Oh, like up over here, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, okay. And could you go to the next photo? Okay. And that's what the view from Central Street looks like right now. What are those big, what are the wooden stakes in the ground over there? Is that for the pool or?
No, that's for fence, like a custom wooden fence that's going to go around. Instead of using the plastic vinyl,
Yeah.
we have we have to have the pine, like the board and batten. It's going to be a horizontal pine fence, but we had to dry the stuff because we had put some onto the house that was supposedly kiln dried and then it wasn't, so the sap was coming out of it. So we had to get the stuff and we just finally got it cut from the mill in December and it's all drying inside my shop for 6 months and then we can put it up. But those will all be cut, they're just tall right now, but they're going to get cut and then that same wooden siding will come down the lot line as well.
Okay. Can you go back to the other photo? Just one back? Yeah. So I wasn't here for the special permit in 2015, but I assume, it's granted because, we want the building to fit in with the environment. But really, it's been many, many years of this look I think that the structure is looking fantastic. I like the blue and the red. But the amount of stuff outside the house and around it, it really doesn't fit in very well with the neighborhood. I understand to have it a little bit, but it's just a construction zone for 8 years going. And I'm just wondering at what point might could we all, the whole town, enjoy the pretty structure instead of all of this stuff all over the property all the time?
Yeah, we're trying to move that. As I said, a temporary occupancy permit has been issued. Some of that stuff is already gone. And you're right, we're trying to get back
this
to
is here
a
today.
house that they live in with their children and
Yeah.
don't want all that stuff either.
Yeah, no, this is today, so it's not, none of this is gone. That would be the goal, though. Because I think I remember the structure before any work was on it, and it was, much, much worse.
Yeah, it was in need of
Yeah.
help. So that's the relief. I think that the grounds for the nature of the variances that the board found in 2015, the corner lot, the oversized lot, all those things I think are still in play. Making it financially more difficult too was that significant work had to be done in regards to the foundation and the basement to support everything, which was not known at the time, which added to time and cost and everything else. So I think Bill's trying to wrap this up. He would really like to make his wife and kids happy by finishing this all.
Yeah, I think the kind of stuff you're asking for is reasonable given what's there. How did we get that this was built in, I guess, in violation of what the last permit was? It was.
Yeah, I think there was just a mix-up with the super that was doing it and the change in, building official. And to be honest with you, we just didn't do what we were supposed to do to make sure everything was being done right. In that whole thing, from the viewpoint of the half a foot missing the side setback, that's our error.
Okay, yeah, I don't have particular concerns with the detail of what's been changed, but we are never happy being put in the position of granting relief for something that's already happened, against our others. So that's, I'd like to know the history. We have had a succession of building inspectors since that time, which hasn't helped, but.
Yeah, I think the view from Central Street is substantially improved. The little corner, you're not going to notice it's not 20 feet. The steps, you're not even going to see. It's the issue of the bulkhead, which certainly is more than what we had proposed. But then again, it's about 2 feet further back from Franklin Street. And I think a good addition to the building as well.
Further questions from the board?
I don't know.
Okay, is there, I was trying to get, and all of the conditions that were put on the previous thing, other than the dimensional things, was any issue with those? Were we to repeat any of those?
Yeah, the only condition from the original approval was anticipating making sure that the fence that would have enclosed the pool had to be 30 feet back from Central Street.
Right, I remember that.
Oh, no, it actually says at least 20 feet from Central Street. So as to minimize, not impact site distances, which it wouldn't because it's on the other side of the house. So we could certainly, the plan that we submitted today doesn't show the fence, but we can certainly get you the extension of that fence and making sure it's 20 feet back.
Well, any of those conditions would probably still be applicable, so.
And we're also talking to Bill, what's the fence?
It's wood. We're doing the plastic stuff is just so, I don't know.
Right. So we can change vinyl to wood, so it's a better appearance fence.
It's going to be much nicer.
Is there anyone in the audience that has questions of this applicant? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard in support of this application?
I would. I'm Joshua Sanford. I reside at 196 Central Street, just across the street, down a little bit towards the center of town. And I just would like to voice my support. I think they've done wondrous things with that property, and I think it's reasonable what they're asking for.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford. Anyone else who wishes to be heard in support of the project? Is there anyone who wishes to be heard in opposition to the application? Okay, seeing none, we'll give everybody one more chance. Anything else to ask or say? If not, we'll entertain a motion to close the two here. Well, yeah, it's the hearing on there's both a special permit and a variance request.
Okay, so we heard them both, so I'm going to close, we open them simultaneously, so I'll just close them simultaneously. I'll make a motion that we close the public portion of the hearings for both a dimensional variance and a special permit by William Rodenizer for the property located at 213 Central Street, Holliston.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. All those in favor of closing the hearing, John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
Okay, hearing's closed. We'll act as quickly as we can and render a decision and notify you. So thank you very much for.
Thank you. Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
From the viewpoint of 7 Jeffrey in Authentic Auto Body, we have timing under that purchase and sale agreement. Is it the board's thought that that would be voted tonight?
It's going to be a timing issue, Peter. If we are able to, we will. If not, we anticipate meeting again in about a week. So.
Okay, because we've got some time.
We're not going to delay it, not going to push stuff out a month.
Okay.
But we just knew we had a pretty heavy agenda, and part of it's the 40B hearing, which is.
Thank you.
Hey, Pete, you crowded me out a little there, guy. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, let's see where we are. I'm gonna get back to it. Apologize, it gets slower each time because I have to scroll up and down to get back to the agenda. All right, that's all of our pieces for today. That happened quicker than I had hoped. So I think we're there. In that case, it being later in 7:45, we'll reopen the comprehensive permit hearing at Indian Ridge Realty Trust at Jeffrey Park. Hello, Paul. How are you? Welcome back.
Good, Mr. Chairman, how are you?
Very well, thanks. And Mr. Harrison, nice to see you again. We've got a lot of folks here. So we had a few things going on since the last time we were going. The last meeting, we went through the first draft of a decision, asked a lot of questions, went back with some changes to it. I've seen a revised version today and some comments and responses to comments, but I don't think, and I turn to the board, if you had a chance to review much of that. Jay or Mark?
No, I haven't had a chance to work through the last version or the markup that we received. I think it was like late this afternoon. So that I have not worked my way through. I assume.
Yeah, nor have I. I did not have time,
Okay.
given the timing of it.
Yeah, well, so let's maybe go through what we left as action items from the last meeting and see where we stand with all of those. So this new draft did integrate the discussion points from the last meeting to the extent we had them, I believe. Is that right, Paul?
I do believe so. I was making changes as we were discussing them.
Yeah, and went back to Vanessa Associates for comments on the traffic conditions. Karen, did we get anything back from them? Okay. I don't remember what the specifics were, but we had a few. How about from other town boards? We did get conservation's comments, I think.
Yeah, conservation and the peer review civil engineering comments are sort of integrated with one another.
Mm-hmm. And the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission in this case was already issued, right?
Yes.
So those would be the conditions that we would need to, and I think Ms. Harrison suggested that we just attach the order of conditions as part of the decision, which makes some sense, I think. All right, what else did we have? Fire chief, I don't know if there's anything back from him. I think his issue, or the issue to go on him, was whether the 75-foot radius on the street was any issue to them. I don't know if we heard anything. I didn't see anything from the fire department.
No, Rob did verify that the regs for the street were followed in terms of the subdivision regs, which include that requirement from the fire department.
All right. Discussion DPW of the sidewalk issue. That one, I don't believe I haven't seen anything from either the DPW or the select board or the town. So that one we'll still have to follow up with on the extension of the sidewalk and the offer to help fund that. And all right, that's what I see in the minutes. What else did? The other issue that has come up, well, let's see, were there outstanding issues from the comments that were sent over? Most of those were addressed or accepted. Are there any of those that are at difference of opinion still on that that anybody can recall? To take a quick look. Dean, you answered those pretty quickly.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask if are you talking about the comments prepared by the towns and the town?
Yes, just in the last day or two that have been going back and forth.
I did have one matter within that document that I would like to discuss tonight at some point. So
okay.
when you're ready, let me know.
Yeah, that's yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what we've still got out there that needs some more discussion. So yeah, I think, and maybe it's the same issue, the one that I saw that I don't know the answer to is the issue of extending the street for the period from the cul-de-sac and the construction of that to the property line, which yeah, I'm not quite sure what the mechanism for that is, but is that the issue that was on your mind, or is that a different one?
No, Mr. Chairman, you're correct. That my understanding is that should come under the purview now as a review, not the Board of Selectmen. But obviously, I thought we addressed that with your council tonight.
Yeah, I think we can, and it may need to go to town council. And Paul, the issue there that we realized is that the existing cul-de-sac ends about 150 feet plus or minus from the property line of the project site, and the plans call for extending that road and modifying the cul-de-sac to making a road. But the question is, what do we need to do to give them the right to build on that town way? And that's typically something that's under the selectmen's purview, but it's a permission thing as opposed to a specific permit, I think.
Right, so if we're not talking about the grant of some sort of a deeded right that would require town meeting approval, then this is something that the board would be able to grant as part of the comprehensive permit. If it's simply a local approval by the Board of Selectmen, then you act as the Board of Selectmen for this process. But if you're actually, if you're granting a deeded right, and it's a process that requires town meeting approval, then that goes beyond the authority of the board in this matter.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we are, but I guess we should probably refer that to town council to make sure that we're not overstepping our bounds. And to the select board to see if they've got input on that, if we're acting in their stead.
Can I just ask a clarifying question? So are we looking to, so it sounds to me like to afford the project access over the town road, there's a gap between where the fee of the applicant is and where the town roadway ends. And we have to bridge that with either an easement or some kind of other right to the applicant. Is that right? No?
I don't think so. I think it's just what is the mechanism for allowing them to build that road on the town property.
Just to clarify, Jay, the built cul-de-sac is short of the property line. So there's a stub of the right-of-way. The right-of-way is laid out to the property line. There's a stub beyond the constructed temporary cul-de-sac that is not a road not constructed as a road currently, but is a road on paper.
Could I, Mr. Chairman, I have the plan available if I can get sharing.
Sure, if you would
share my screen.
be so kind, we'd appreciate that.
Yep.
Dean, you're all set.
Thank you. Hold on, let me show some of my other stuff. There we go. Can we see this?
Yep.
Everybody? Okay. So I think the area we're discussing right now is this right away.
Mm-hmm.
This is the property line. And so it's this piece of roadway here, the right of way here, that we're referring to. Karen, is that correct? Is it? Yeah.
And that right of way is controlled by the town currently?
No. Currently, none of this road is the town's. It was accepted by town meeting, but a deed has not been recorded currently.
Oh.
So this right of way is controlled by whoever owns the dirt underneath it?
Currently, yes.
So we have no authority, we can't do what you're asking for.
Huh.
Well, town meeting has voted to accept the road.
But we haven't taken it yet, though.
We have not operationally taken it yet.
But was there a town meeting vote to actually take an interest?
Yes.
In the roadway?
Yes.
So that's all that would need to have been done by town meeting. And then in terms of authorization for the construction of the road, would generally be Board of Selectmen, and in this instance would fall to the board.
So we can, in fact, I think if the roadway taking has occurred at town meeting and it's administrative at this point, then I don't think we need town council to confirm that we have the authority to grant use of the right of way if we want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you wouldn't be really granting use of the right of way. You would be authorizing the construction on the town's right of way.
Well, yeah, right. So we're authorizing construction by them versus the town.
Correct.
So and maybe Karen, you can fill me in on this. If this were being done as a just a subdivision plan, included all of this, what would be the process to deal with that stub of road? Would you need some kind of order by the selectmen, or?
Yeah, you'd need select board permission, and then from the highway department, you actually would bond the construction and fill out more or less an access permit.
Mhm.
But we're going to bond the roadway construction anyway, aren't we?
Rob has stationed it from the cul-de-sac in, so that he has included it in his engineering.
Okay. So any bonding should be able to be done as part of the whole piece, and then it's just a question of any DPW.
So there's that overarching issue. There also is the mechanics of removing the pavement from private property where so those two half moons of the cul-de-sac are privately owned in easement. But if you're okay with that, Paul, I don't know if you need to call that out at all.
So again, it would really be the town just eliminating those improvements from an area over which it has an easement.
So as long as it's shown on the plan, it's included in the process.
Okay.
And then the third prong of that is operationally. We have a draft condition that says that all staging shall be on the project, and it would be physically impossible for them to do that because this section of roadway needs to be constructed. So unless we consider everything from the cul-de-sac up the project, they cannot stage from the project. They need to stage somewhere else to get into the project. I think that Mr. Poor had raised that at the last hearing session. So in terms of a scheduling issue or in a mobilization issue, I think he was very pointedly asking how long is it going to take them to build that section to get in there. And I think you have in other conditions sort of a scheduling plan, but it's probably good to note, one, that condition needs to be clarified, and two, that phasing plan, if you would, needs to happen down the road.
And my response back, Mr. Chairman, that is acceptable. We will provide a plan, scheduling plan and such as part of the overall decision. I'm trying to see where that was referenced in. I guess it was in G1 that this is acceptable, and we can add in a phasing plan. So to that.
Okay, yeah, and I think probably we'd want to make that condition, because Karen said that you would have to stage there while you were building it, but we wouldn't want to use that for staging while the rest of the construction on should only be as necessary and relevant to that specific construction.
Yeah, I was trying to word it where maybe we could consider this as of the roadway phase one or part one, and that this is done first, and then after we've completed it and the crossings for the wetlands, that we cannot use this for staging anymore.
Right, that's exactly what I'm thinking. Use it well.
Dean, can you propose some language for that and send it to me?
I forgot where exactly that is now on the sheets, but I can prepare some language now. It's on the memo. Let me see. We started talking, I think it was in CE, adding sequencing within the mitigation plan. And then it was also addressed in under C1D and C2D, the next paragraph down, can this be allowed as in 2 stages? So, I mean, we can come up with some wording that basically saying, that would be considered phase 1. And, we stage that and get over the crossland. And once we've completed that part and it's signed off by the town, we then are allowed to go into the, the main parcel and no longer stage in that area. That's acceptable to us.
Okay. It's a little bit of a detail, I guess, relative to that, but would you kind of need to complete that piece to get to the site? Would you do the cul-de-sac changes at that time, or?
Correct.
Okay, so then I'm just thinking then you don't have a cul-de-sac nor a loop for that period of time of construction, but.
Yeah, it would be part of the construction sequencing and phasing plan that we need to submit prior to pulling building permits. So, we're okay with a condition like that, and obviously we understand the neighbors' concerns and so forth. So, I think if we just do that part first and then move it past that, then we won't have to use that area.
My guess is that in just a quick discussion with Rob, that you probably will want to keep the cul-de-sac in there for stormwater purposes. The curbing that's in there is going to protect the resources.
Yeah, I think not prepare a plan prior to the permit being issued, but as part of submission prior to the building permits, that we provide a plan that basically outlines this, that Rob provides, shows exactly how it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously could be reviewed by the peer engineer at the time also.
Okay. All right, I think I understand it. All right, so we want to follow up with any conditions or concerns of the selectmen or DPW, but we think we can address that as part of this permit. I had a note, maybe this has made it in here, but I'll ask Paul about whether we should make the Board of Health application a condition of the permit. Does that ring any bells? Because I made the note, but I'm not sure
It's in there that Board of Health approval is required.
Okay, thanks.
That's up prior to building permit.
Okay, Concom. All right, that okay, Mark, do you have more? I know you haven't been through everything, but if there's anything that
I really didn't. I mean, I think my thought was we were going to review or close out the list that I saw or I started to review, which was the back and forth between Karen and Dean, and then we were going to get Paul's early thoughts or reaction to some of the markups to the decision. If we're there to do that, and we can do it tonight, we certainly can start it. We won't get through it. I don't even know if Paul's had a chance to even look at what came across. So I don't want to put it in.
And I have not had the opportunity to go through those markups. I've been in trial the last couple of days, so
Okay.
I haven't had any chance at all.
Well, that's why I was trying to identify any of the issues that seemed significant still that we could discuss, because I think that if it's fine tuning stuff, we can do that back and forth offline. But
yeah, for the most part, the changes look to be acceptable to the applicant and certainly acceptable to me.
yeah, that was my take on it with a couple of those.
Yeah, we addressed, Mr. Chairman, we addressed the one issue we had on the memo. The rest, you will find that they were acceptable, but we had no comments because we really weren't something we needed to comment on. And I think most of the comments that we provided in the permit was just, cleaning up some of the language and so forth. So if we do have time, I would like to try to get through at least some of the comments in the last revision of the permit, just to make sure that we're on the same page if we could.
Okay, before we do, I think it's John Poor has hand up, and I presume it's related to the stuff we were just speaking to. So rather than hold, I'd like to give you the floor and give you a chance to ask, presuming that's what it is.
Guys, how you doing? John Poor, 50 Indian Ridge Road. I just want to clarify as far as the staging process, that is my deeded land as well as the digger areas on the other curve part of the cul-de-sac. So, and I heard Karen Sherman mention that it would be left as a cul-de-sac for storm drain purposes. I just want a little clarity on what all that means as far as until that section of road that the town owns that they've been driving over the whole time to get to the property, which hasn't been an issue, which probably doesn't matter, I guess, but just want a little clarity on all those three topics, please.
Okay.
We do not have Rob with us tonight. I didn't see him pop in. Rob, if you're here, please pop in. But I'm not the engineer, but from what we've been talking about, this is really the undeveloped piece here, as you can tell.
Yep.
And then you got the existing cul-de-sac. The plan is to basically improve this, address the crossing of the wetlands before we move into the site. From an engineering standpoint, as Karen mentioned, is to maintain this, not get these two little half circles, but maintain this and basically just build this section. And then later on, come back whenever, the drainage is in place and it's at a proper point, then to complete the removal here of these two areas and obviously landscape them and bring them back to a acceptable condition.
So that means during the process to do the transfer from the cul-de-sac to the proposed property, no cars are going to be in those two half circles, trucks every morning, bulldozers, the whole 9 yards. We're
going to have to plan that. It's going to be a delicate situation. And that's why we need to talk that. Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we need to submit a sequencing plan and mitigation plan. Obviously it will affect, since you are the abutters, that part of that, we provide you with when the time we submit a copy to the town, that we also provide you with a copy. So you can see what the plans are.
So you're not answering my question. There's going to be bulldozers on both sides of that road on the half circle. I don't see how you guys are not going to be able to break through unless you have multi construction vehicles in the unit, in the cul-de-sac.
There's going to have to be some vehicles in the cul-de-sac while we are doing this. and we are limited to what time of day and the hours of the day to do that. So there's no doubt there will be some inconvenience for you. But obviously that's what we still need to come up with a plan that will hopefully will work for everyone. But there will have to be some vehicles in here, construction vehicles, to get to what we need to get to.
And deeded land doesn't matter?
Well, there's this middle of the street too.
Yeah.
As long as it's not like through the whole project, I think we're more concerned about, once you guys are in
you
there.
already said that, from here to here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From here to here could take a year, who knows?
Mhm.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, we don't want that to take a year. I mean, it's
I don't either.
Yeah. And that's part of what we said when we provide a sequencing and, the mitigation plan would be to identify roughly the time to get that done.
Cool. All right.
Right. Obviously it's important for all of us to keep the project moving.
Right.
And then what will happen is that once you get up to the property in here, they will most likely build a staging area up here to go through the rest of the property.
Okay.
That's the intent. And like I said, if the board feels that it's proper, that you are notified at the time that is submitted, we can do that.
I think that makes sense. And I think we also may, as we write that, look at conditions that limit to the extent possible the use of the cul-de-sac for equipment and staging. I mean, as you've said, I don't see any way you can avoid it because you need to get it. But, maybe things like not parking equipment overnight there, and if it can be pushed up into the site or, that kind
Yeah,
of
I mean, obviously,
to the extent possible. I mean, certainly we want to be really clear that we want to minimize that both in terms of time and impact on those neighbors, because that's their access to their homes and everything else.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, maybe we can go down that list of items, and I don't think it makes sense to try to get the wording and the conditions all set here, but just conceptually to see if there are still any issues that need to go in and questions about them. I think we get through that pretty quickly, couldn't we, if we pull up the last version? I'm unfortunately, mine's on a different computer than this, so I can't do it, but I don't know who may have a copy of that.
I could pull it up if you give me a second.
Okay, thanks.
Guys, go. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So this is the list that Karen had compiled. The comments in red are my comments relating to each of those items.
Okay, so Karen, maybe you ought to, otherwise I'm not sure what all of these are. Could you sort of walk through and comment if there's anything that we need to push with it?
Sure. The first one was just a description of the project itself. So, the 24 units, 24 lots. And I think Dean added some language as well. I think there just needed to be a number change on this one.
Gotcha.
This traffic findings section was essentially blank and is addressed further down in I think it was sort of a placeholder in the draft.
Oh, I see. What you mean. Okay.
Yeah, the next one is just, there's some stuff that's just grammar. That Dean, as you see in the red, he just incorporated into the draft.
Yeah.
A6, not something you talked about, but the affordable housing unit locations. We have had a problem with this in the past because it tends to be a moving target unless it's nailed down. And I think DHCD has had the same problem in that they require a plan currently.
So DHCD does require the submittal of an affordable housing unit location plan as part of the final approval process. So we can certainly update this section to require that the board be provided a copy of that when it's submitted to DHCD. Ultimately, DHCD is the entity that has the jurisdiction to approve or disapprove the affordable unit locations, but you're certainly entitled to a copy of that information.
Yeah, and I added under section A6, I added some additional language. And then in the condition C.2H, which was a new condition, I added that basically also there too. So, Paul, if you think it's too much, obviously, but I think I added it in the proper locations.
Okay.
One is noted. So
Yeah, all the section C things are things that need to be revised to make the project final. So there's a category of things that are sort of pre-construction, and then there's a category of things that are pre-building permit. So there's just some clarification. Just a little bit of housekeeping in that section, and I believe Dean made those changes.
okay.
Yes. I should just know on F, I through X, it's a formatting thing, Paul. You notice they'll line up with the, looks like the header, so.
Yep. That is within my limited computer skills to actually.
That's why I didn't touch them, because I would have renumbered the whole decision, so.
Right. Once you start with a decision like this, the formatting goes crazy.
Yeah, so I left it up to Paul.
This comment about the staging, I think we just discussed.
Yes.
My suggestion is that when we do these for the planning board, the fire chief is very interested in having temporary turnarounds. And so in this case, where there is sort of a loop road, they may choose to construct it all at once in order to access the lots, but they may also choose 3 or 4 choice lots around the longest part of the P to access. So this would also be part of their staging plan.
Yes.
So we should get the fire department comments so that they can prepare that.
Well, that we would do that while preparing the staging plan. As part of that, before we submit for final approval, we would sit and talk to the fire department and fire chief to get that. So that would all be part of that conversation in preparing that.
This E10 section, quite frankly, the town is not in the business of soliciting streetlights these days. And so we would prefer, and we can verify with the select board, that if there aren't lights out there currently, we would not add streetlights.
Yeah, we'll do whatever, I think that the peer review, the traffic peer reviewer suggested possibly 3 location of streetlights. So that's totally up to the board if they want them, or if they don't, we'll provide lighting on the properties. But
The reason that these aren't waivers, John, and the rest of the members is that the way that it's written in the subdivision regulations, the applicants are sent to the select board for an analysis of whether the public safety officials feel like there's a reason to have streetlights. And generally the density is the driver.
Mhm.
We haven't done streetlights in a new subdivision in probably between 15 and 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you were saying, I was thinking of the different similar locations around town. I couldn't picture too many. All right. So presumably that's where we are. We should confirm that. I guess was that the DPW that makes that call for the selectmen?
Is the applicant proposing streetlights?
I think our peer reviewer suggested it, so he was willing to.
But are they proposing? Because if they're not proposing streetlights, I think we need to do nothing more than simply note that the applicant is not proposing streetlights.
Yeah, go ahead, Karen.
I don't think they're traditional streetlights.
Right, they're proposing lighting on the properties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than streetlights in the public way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We weren't showing them, and then the peer review suggested them. That's
What I would recommend is on condition E10, state that the applicant shall install on-site lighting on the site that conforms to the town of Holliston zoning bylaw. Lighting shall be downlit/shielded to prevent light spillover onto surrounding properties. No street lights are proposed.
That's fine.
It sounds like we're in violent agreement.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I fine-tuned the working hours a little bit to eliminate weekends and holidays.
Okay.
I did confirm that the town does pick up trash for single-family and duplex units for private roadways.
Okay.
For both highway issues and water issues, I just added the document names that should be referred to in terms of the design documents and the standards. This one in particular for driveways.
Okay.
Yeah, I think on E23, the question about bringing in imported materials, we only, in the decision only talks about exports, but we're fine making it for import.
Yeah, I think the next one is one we've talked about.
Yeah.
And I think we still need some input from the select board on the remainder, but we understand what the offer is, so that's on our plate.
And we are offering this in lieu of doing the work. We're not concerned about work that's done on the site. However, if work is done off the site, we were just concerned with also some liability issues if we were to, make some of the mitigation off the site. What's the liability for the applicant? Say for example, the clearing of the limit of trees on the road. The name's escaping me right now.
Indian Ridge. So
No, the one
Oh,
out
the
to
next one.
Turner.
Turner, it asked for clearing of some of the brush, I don't know what the liability, so that's why we were off for doing that with the sidewalk too.
Mhm.
So. I still owe Karen a letter, and I'm hoping to get that with her within a day or so.
I did note that there were two Vanasse Associates, and I'm sorry I didn't grab this earlier, peer review comments that should be integrated. So S4 and 5 from their letter. I think Paul had raised that as a note in the margins of his previous draft. So 4 and 5 should be added.
And G1, I think Karen was addressing earlier, and that also involves going to the fire chief as part of that, the turnaround and emergency access while we're building out, and that would be part of the phasing, mitigation, and sequencing plan.
All right, so I guess there, as part of the any condition regarding providing it, we should also specify that provisions are made for, to the satisfaction of the appropriate people for turnaround emergency vehicles, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, easy enough.
We're okay with that.
Okay, makes sense.
I think the next one is just clarifying, wordsmithing basically. We had no comment to H3 or H2. We had no comment to H4. We also suggested that the order conditions be added as an attachment, or however way you prefer to do it. And then I2, we had no comment. It's obviously up to the town and Paul to discuss.
Okay.
And then these last three is pretty typical conditions that we've seen. So. In past decisions, so that they're both fine. It has to do with bonding and security, and allowing all the proper inspections and third-party inspections as normally done under the subdivision rules and regs.
Okay.
There is one exception to this in terms of inspections. So in projects where we've had sewer mains within the right-of-way, the Board of Health agent would prefer that the third-party inspectors roll that into their roadway inspections. So that's an unusual inspection in Holliston where we don't have public sewer, to have the third-party inspectors be doing the sewer line inspections.
And the last one is adding the lot corners with the capped iron pins, and that's acceptable. Let me stop sharing that. Unless there's any discussion, I'll close that one up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think we understand what items are out there, and we can work on those offline here. Let me look at where We are. Are there other issues that you want to bring up and discuss, Dean?
If you don't mind, this is the most recent version of the draft that Paul had prepared and I had commented on, along with incorporating the comments from the memo. If the board desires, we can start scrolling down this for.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think we did go through it and noted those things, and these are a lot of the exceptions to it, and we've got a few more. And I know we haven't gone through it in detail, so I think rather than take everybody's time here, the actual take one more iteration, review and get back. What I'm thinking about is there's two, and I guess let's just see if there are other issues, and then I'll take the next step. But I think going through this in detail now would probably not be a good use of everyone's time, since we haven't. I think we've identified the issues and can work on and review these offline.
Okay.
Okay, so we will do that. Relative to those, first of all, Mark, Jay, do you have any further questions on any of that we're talking about, or give you a chance to digest the detail and get back? But I just want to give Paul as much information and ammunition as we have, and I think we've got notes where we're going. What I'm going to propose, looking at the time, we've got a hard stop in a half an hour. We've got to complete this, and I think I want to have one more opportunity to have, we haven't really done it on a comprehensive basis. We have been, as we've gone through a lot of meetings, but have the public have another opportunity to voice their overall thoughts rather than on the specific elements that we had. And I don't think that's going to happen in this time. So what I'm going to suggest is that we use that meeting we've talked about to do that. In the interim time, try and take, get some of this language and stuff cleaned up, and use the rest of this time to deliberate on the other decisions that we had to do from the earlier hearings, if that makes sense to you guys. Because I think we're going to get halfway through hearing from people and then have to cut them off.
That makes sense to me.
Okay, so if we were to continue this till next week, do a round or two of this editing, and we've got a few town boards to get back and get answers from as well. Then go through a draft at that time and go through the public comment period is what I think I'm suggesting. I'd kind of rather see it all together than piecemeal.
So, Mr. Chairman, just what exactly is the deadline for closing the public hearing? Karen, did you know that? Dean, do you recall?
I think it's in the public hearing. Yes, hold on. I got the date here. Hold on. I think we're up to our 7th meeting, but it's been over like 8 months. It was open on May 20th and was continued to June 17th. And that no testimony was taken. So we go by May.
Because of the coronavirus legislation, the clock really didn't start running until December 1st.
Yeah.
So we do have time to continue.
I understood. I know from that standpoint, I think that, we can, obviously cleaning up the decision and obviously giving the abutters a chance to talk. I understand the purpose of that. We just want to obviously continue to make progress. And the applicant is hoping not to extend this for another month.
No, that's what I'm talking about next week.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. If we can schedule that, I think that would be acceptable.
Does that work from your end, Paul?
It does, yes.
Okay. So, and Jay and Mark, I think you guys are both okay with next week?
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
So I'm going to, well, before we do that, I didn't get the opportunity. I did ask you guys for questions. Were there any other questions that John had his, and literally questions of not, we're going to have plenty of opportunity to get people's thoughts, but are there questions regarding any of the stuff we were discussing today? People have been very patient in being here. I want to make sure I didn't miss that. Okay, I don't see any. So if that's the case, I'd ask for a motion to continue this until next week, the 20th of January. And at that time, between now and then, we will try to get any of those points of input from the other town boards that we haven't yet gotten. Ask Paul to institute what changes and comments we made. I think would be pretty close to a draft, and then reserve time to get the input of the abutters and the citizens. Then we'll be, I think, in a position to start to deliberate this and create the, because I don't think there's more information that we're looking for at this point from anyone other than any new thoughts and old thoughts on what it is. Okay, so can I get a motion to?
Sure. I'll make a motion, we continue the public portion of the hearing for a comprehensive permit by Indian Roads Realty Trust for the property known as Jeffrey Park until our meeting on January 20th, 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move all those in favor. John, aye. Jay?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Okay, thanks very much, Dean, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good
night.
Have a great night.
I
Thank
think
you.
we've got this to a decent place. Okay. Maybe we can, I didn't expect we'd get through all of our other hearings as expeditiously as we did, so maybe we can stick with that momentum. We got Liz back. Excellent. What do we have? Let's see. Okay, 45 Washington Street. I think we actually already had some deliberation on that. Any issues with that?
Nope. The sooner the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Okay. So that was a special, I don't even remember the detail of it, but that was a special permit to allow construction in the floodplain area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're okay with that happening. Do we need to put any conditions? Because do we want to reference the order, really all the conditions that come from the Conservation Commission and the conservation agent?
I don't think so. I think
I don't think so either.
it should be a special permit to allow redevelopment within a zone A. And I think that's the finding in the relief.
Yeah, and reference the plans that it be in accordance with the plans submitted, which would be today's set that they updated everything. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And I think most of that gets driven by the IBC code anyway,
Right.
per flood, so.
Yeah, we're just, because I happen to have that one, I'm not sure why we had it in the first place. I don't think I've ever read that section of the bylaw before till I had to go look
Definitely
it
a
up.
housekeeping issue.
Yeah, so anyway. That's
All right,
good.
let's make
Thanks.
that motion then. So I make a motion that we grant the approval for a special permit by Gill Realty Trust, Roman numeral 1, for the property located at 45 Washington Street, located in the industrial zoning district, pursuant to per the development plan submitted. That was the site plan, the revised design plan, and the site plan update, which was presented today, January 13th, 2020.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Move to a vote. All those in favor? John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Liz.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. We'll go with that. Okay, now Safe With Us Animal Rescue, 87 Jeffrey Avenue, special permit. Let's see. I think there's not a lot of conditions that I would see going on there either, right? We could limit the number of animals to 40. Seems, I guess it's a good idea, but and we had hours of operation. What was it?
I was trying to figure out, maybe Karen, you can help. So what is the use we're allowing in the zoning, in the industrial zone district? So is it, we're calling this an animal hospital?
Kennel, yeah.
Kennel?
An odd hybrid combination of the two.
Okay. All right. Do you guys want to enumerate certain conditions? Are you okay with just the relief as proposed and as described in the narrative?
They need to be licensed by the state to do that. Do we need to reference that, or they need to be period? So
I think Karen has a general condition that says that the applicant will be in compliance with all state or other rules, laws. So I think
regulations or
that covers the business, the business regulation that they're going to be under. We don't need to worry about that, I don't think. But don't they need a separate Board of Health license because they're an animal? Yeah, so we don't have to worry about the health stuff either.
No, and there's, the only thing we can put operating hours on them if we want, but sort of the animals are there, and that's, if anything, that's the issue. It's not the employees.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the industrial zone. There's no housing around it. If they've got access to the building, to me, they probably need to be in there 24 hours anyway, in case.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll make a motion.
But do we have to, we just put our one about filing it. Do you file a use permit with the deed or? Yeah, okay. That one too, okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the application for a grant of special permit by Lindsay Boylan with Us Animal Rescue for the property located at 87 Jeffrey Ave to allow a animal or veterinary hospital or kennel in the industrial zone. Is it industrial? Yeah, just the industrial zone.
Liz, you want to take that one?
I'll second it.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded. Thanks for mixing it up there. Any discussion? More?
No.
All those in favor? John, aye.
Aye.
Me? Liz?
Aye.
I'll mix it up a little too. Mark?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. All right. What's our next one?
I'll do the first four, but I will not touch that variance.
Okay. Yeah, I still I couldn't find the plan. I'm just trying to figure out why that variance had to change, but.
Because they didn't build it to the plan.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, this is another Washington Street pool house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does look better than it would without the variance. I mean, it looks better. Like the
we're not on that one
No,
yet.
all right.
Yeah.
For that, we've got the auto body place.
Auto body.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Perfectly. That's great. It's a success story.
Yeah, I mean, I had no issues with this.
And I would say we just put the same conditions as on their old one.
Yep.
Whatever that.
All right, well then,
Unless the old one had a limit of employees, but it didn't, did it? Because now they have more employees. Okay.
okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the grant, the application on the grant. We approve the grant of special permit by Authentic Auto Body and Collision for the property located at 7 Jeffrey Avenue, so that they may they may conduct a repair garage and auto body in an industrial zone district, mimicking the conditions of the prior permit for the same business in town.
Can I just ask for clarification on Mark made a comment about the rear parking in need of repair and striping. That would be in addition to the prior conditions?
How about can we say striping per the exhibited plan?
Yeah, per the submitted plan.
Yeah, improvements per the submitted plan, or exterior improvements.
Okay.
Can I just make a comment?
Sure.
The prior decision had a restriction of no unregistered cars, but he's got the Class 2 license, which allows for unregistered cars. So if we could at least say no unregistered cars beyond authorized by the Class 2 license by the Board of Selectmen.
That'd be okay.
If you want to have a restriction on unregistered cars.
No, that's a good point. If he has a license that allows for it, I don't want to further limit it, so.
Yeah, we don't want to dump in wrecks there, but
Right.
that works for me.
So modify the condition per Peter's, or qualify it per the Class 2 license, which will be held by the owner applicant.
Mhm.
To the unregistered cars permitted to the extent permitted by the
Yeah.
applicant's license.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good checkup.
Okay, anything else? Well, we've got the rest already there. All right. You wanna make that motion?
I did.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'll second it.
It's been made and seconded. I thought we were still talking conditions. Anything else? Good. All those in favor? John, aye. Jay?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll grant that. Dana's physical fitness revival training use. Any issues with that?
None, given the mix of tenants that's been there over the years. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, that place really is turning into a training facility of every type.
Right.
I always, anytime I'm there, I always feel like you could stage a sitcom there with all the different uses and all the different characters. Great sitcom.
There's your big break, Jay, if you want to get out of the...
Call it Suburban Mall or something like that.
Yeah, Holliston. Okay. Any conditions on it? We've got, should ask for business hours of 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., which seems fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything else that you'd put, is there?
Don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think even any number of employees or number of sizes, nothing that really, that we have an issue with other than occupancy. Okay.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we approve the grant, approve the application for a grant of a special permit by Dana Beleco for her business to be located at within a portion of 1576 Washington Street, which will be, or to allow a, let's see, what are we calling it?
I think it'd be commercial indoor recreational.
So it's a personal training business,
Yeah.
which is commercial indoor recreation within a commercial zoning district. And it would be conditioned upon the operational hours and use as described in her application memo.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded.
Quick.
New dynamic going here. It's
It's a race.
all right. Let's go for it. All those in favor, John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Liz,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, I'm done. So whoever's picking up this next one, I'll,
Okay, you're not. And that's 213 Central Street. So, well, let's see. We got the special permit, which applied to the extension of exterior wall and porch along Franklin Street, right? And then the dimensional variance, which, well, let me get down to Peter's. Let's make sure we get the right stuff in the right places.
Would you like me to just draft and consult with Peter and then provide you with a draft for next week?
Well, I know that the special permit is for that over the front door that's on Central Street. And then the variance is for the, right, maybe you have to consult with them, but it's for the what's it called? The cover over the, what's that thing in the ground?
Bulkhead, yeah.
Bulkhead, thank you. That's not, yeah.
So the bulkhead, though, according to the new plan versus the old plan, is actually further away from Franklin Street. So
Right.
I don't.
It's just originally it was a bulkhead at the ground, and he built
now
that
it's a whole-
doghouse over it, the entryway.
But it's, I mean, that doesn't, it's still the relief from Franklin Street, which we gave last time to 8.4 feet, and now they're 11
But
feet
we
away.
also, I'm sure, referenced the plans, so it's not in accordance with that. So I think that's where it falls apart. But yeah, I agree. It's less of, in plan, it's less. In volume, it's more.
I mean, I'm happy to wait to make sure we get it all right if you want to write it up and meet with them. I mean, I just wanted to get those pictures up there so you would see this has been a construction site for like 9 or 10 years, like with just all this. And I think that people are very patient because the building is being improved a lot and it's going to look great. But it can be a mess there sometimes in terms of driving around it, and just like it looks like an office building half the time. Like it's not like a residential. It's like got this huge parking lot with like these cement things where people would park. Like it looks like you're going to a dentist's office sometimes. So, I mean, I'm happy with the improvements. I just would like it to move along. It's been a long time. So that's what I wanted to say to the applicant, basically. I'm not opposed to granting these.
Well, some of the same comments came up the last time we were there in 2016 or 15. There was, parking of the construction equipment and all. So one would hope that the sooner that those improvements are made, the incentive to do that stuff goes away. But we also had some issues back then with the actual proposal because there was the pool was out right on Central Street and didn't think that was appropriate and pushed it back.
And I do agree with your comment, John, during the public portion. I feel like we're getting jammed here too. You can always say, oh, the contractor mismeasured, but that's come on.
Yeah,
Pay attention to what
there were
was
changes
on the
made,
books.
and I don't know what, I actually would be interested in see what was put in for the building permit. But, we've got, that being said, the nature of the actual changes don't bother me nearly as much as the process.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to vote in favor of that, but I just don't like getting jammed.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's not respectful of the process, honestly.
No, it's not.
They knew they were going to do it. They can come back ahead of time.
Yep. Yeah, well, it leads you to make assumptions on motivations. So, okay, so we'll follow that. We can use part of next week's meeting to finish that up. So that's it. Hell of a job, guys. And Chris, do you see what time it is?
Wow.
We got 3 minutes to vacate.
So what do you guys want to talk about now? So we got a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, not debatable. All those in favor, John, aye. Jay,
Aye.
Liz,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Karen, for.
Thanks, Karen.
Yeah,
Thanks, Chris.
Chris, thank you.
Thanks all.
Do you need to
Bye.